Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Islamic apologist Ali Dawa, as he apparently succeeds in just 1 minute where every other apologist has failed for thousands of years. He can prove the existence of God. That's what, at least, the channel Towards Eternity claims. This video has over 2 million views and is saturated with adoring comments. So, perhaps mistakenly, I've got my hopes set high.
Ali Dawa, you have 1 minute for each question.
You ready?
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Can you prove God's existence in 1 minute?
Let's look at Google. In order for Google to exist, we need the internet. In order for the internet to exist, we need the computer or our telephones or our tablets. In order for the computer to exist, there has to be human beings that create it, and etc. It relies on electricity. The question follows is the following. Google relies on the internet relies on the computer relies on us and electricity, and this goes on.
Alright, Ali appears to be presenting a variation of the contingency argument, which is very popular among apologists and especially Muslim apologists. So let's pay close attention to the specific version Ali favours.
We cannot have an infinite regress of dependent things.
Now that is an extraordinarily controversial assertion that's going to need extraordinarily strong support. I wonder, are we going to get Hilbert's Hotel? Maybe some Benedetti paradoxes? Let's find out. I'm excited.
We require a place where it all stops and makes sense.
Why, though, Ali? First of all, who are we to demand that abstract metaphysical principles accord with our intuition? Many of our greatest discoveries have grossly violated our intuition. Some of them still hardly make sense to us. The fact that we're floating on a ball, the fact that the stars are suns, the fact that we've evolved, the fact that in a vacuum a feather falls at the same rate as a cannonball, the fact that we're composed of mostly nothing. How many times must we receive a slap of humility before we cease presupposing that all things will bend to our understanding? Second, let's take a closer look at Ali's assertion. Notice that it's just that, a mere assertion, backed up by nothing. And yes, he simply moves on. Now, this could be put down to the 1 minute format, a format that I'll comment on later. But all too often, apologists simply state, from the comfort of their armchair, with all of the confidence in the world, this outrageously sweeping controversial metaphysical principle as if it's as well established as gravity. But it ain't. Now, sure, the notion of something being infinite confounds us, blows our mind even, but what's the alternative? That something or things exist that have no grounding, no causal contingent connection whatsoever. The point is that both of these proposals violate our intuition, and both are far from adequately supported. Hence, appealing to intuition isn't remotely compelling. It just isn't gonna cut it.
We require a place where it all stops and makes sense, which is the independent, self-sufficient, necessary being, which is God.
Despite Ali just having made a massive assumption about the impossibility of an infinite regress, he's just casually added even more controversial claims. First of all, notice that he's talking about just one independent entity here. But why not many? How can we confidently rule out that there are numerous first causes, such as extremely small particles? But in any case, we need justification. But in this case, we're going to have to go without it. Ali's next claim is that this singular entity needs to be self-sufficient, which calls into question what he means by independent. I mean, can something be independent without being self-sufficient? Are these not synonymous? These are important distinctions that need unpacking, and yet we're not treated to such basics. Then, to top it all off, Ali insists that this single entity is a necessary being, which in philosophical discourse on modality means that the falsity of the proposition is impossible. To help conceptualize this, I'll provide you with two different truth statements. The first is that my name is Steve, and the second is that 2 + 2 = 4. While both of these propositions are true, there is a different kind of truth at play here, and modal logic helps us pass them. And here's the thing, we need to be very careful with our language, because colloquial everyday definitions don't belong in modal logic. My name is Steve, but there exists a possible universe, a possible state, where my name isn't Steve, and this makes the fact contingent. It could have been otherwise. In contrast, 2 + 2 = 4 is true in every possible universe, along with all circles being round and bachelors not being married. These are necessary because they're true in every possible state, in every possible world. They can't be false. Anyhow, All of this is to say that even if we buy, for all of the lack of reasons that Ali has given us, a singular, uncaused, independent entity, this doesn't automatically elevate its status to that of a necessary being in the modal logical sense. For an entity to be considered necessary, it must be shown that its non-existence is impossible across all possible worlds, which is a significantly higher standard that Ali doesn't even acknowledge, let alone even attempt to meet. And as for labelling this impersonal entity God, don't get me started.
which is God.
In a theological setting like what we're seeing here, the word God conveys a conscious mind, a mind that deliberately creates. Hence, even if we buy all of the assumptions that have been put on the table, even if we buy that there is just one singular necessary being, we've been given no reason to label it God. Now, fortunately, the Towards Eternity hosts ask Ali to justify at least one of these claims.
Why can't the necessary being be the universe?
Well, that's good that you say that, because first it shows that you acknowledge with me that we require a necessary being. That's good.
No, that's wrong. Now, it might be the case, it probably is the case, that the hosts agree with Ali, but his assumption that someone asking this question entails that they affirm the premise is wrong. It's called an internal critique. Here, I'll give you an example. Ali might ask, how do atheistic views account for consciousness? This is a perfectly legitimate question to ask, and yet it doesn't in any way indicate that Ali has actually accepted atheism, does it?
All you've done is applied this to the universe, and we say that contradicts the necessary being, because the necessary being is independent, self-sufficient, and is necessary. The universe is not self-sufficient and dependent. It's opposite. So you can't have this be that, because it contradicts.
In essence, the hosts have asked, why can't the universe be the necessary being? And Ali has responded by saying, because it isn't.
It's opposite.
I'll expand. When we ask why the universe can't be a necessary being, we are asking why we must rule out that the universe is independent, self-sufficient, and necessary. Under this rubric, we are assuming for the sake of argument that things within the universe are dependent and thus contingent, but we're asking, why should we think the same of the whole, the universe itself? After all, we don't want to commit a fallacy of composition, do we? Hence, we could buy that there's at least one necessary being, as many atheist philosophers do, and then simply say, okay, there's something, potentially the universe itself, that's a necessary being. So how do we rule out the universe as a candidate? The fact is, we are philosophically unmotivated to make the additional assumption that the universe is also contingent. Or at the very least, we are here because Ali has given us nothing. We simply don't have sufficient reason to rule out the universe as a necessary being, and yet Ali has simply claimed that the universe can't be the necessary being. He simply asserted without evidence. And so, to quote Christopher Hitchens, that which is asserted without evidence can also be dismissed without evidence. And that's it, by the way. The hosts are satisfied by Ali, as is the audience, and they move on. But I'm not satisfied, and neither will be anyone who's not already convinced. This wasn't proof, it wasn't evidence. You know, I'd hardly call it an argument. And yet, in Muslim circles, this constitutes good content. And so we have to ask, what's with the format? What's with the praise? Well, it's obvious, is it not? Apologetics abuses science and philosophy to appease the bias of the flock. But while Christian apologists attempt to muddy the waters, at least putting up the facade that they arrived at their theological views due to philosophical reflection, you've got to admire how Muslim apologists don't even pay us this courtesy. It's so obviously a charade.
That's good.